The 2024 North American International Championships has just wrapped up, and with that, our final major event leading into the World Championships. Now, this was a pretty big turnout. As you guys can see a little down here, there was 121 Masters at this event, which is obviously pretty damn big, and we have a lot of really top players, or really good players, I should say, a lot of top players at this event. As we can see here, Patcon obviously goes on to win the event, Patrick Connors, that is. Really cool team. We'll take a look at the teams in a second. But we have some really big names here, right? Of course, we got Tang here, very good Chinese player. Justin Burns, obviously one of the best in NA. Henry Richard, fellow Australian, one of the best out here as well. We got guys like Jody Azarelli, Alex Underhill, like the list goes on and on. We got Paul Chua, Eric Rios. It is just stacked, right? Wolfie even coming in here at 22nd. Like, this event was absolutely stacked, right? A lot of the top players were playing at this event. And it was a fantastic event to spectate. If you guys didn't check out the stream, go check it out. It is some of the best Pokemon I've seen in a very long time. But nonetheless, as I said before, we have Patrick Connors here, aka Patcon, who goes on to win the NAIC for 2024 using this team you can see here in front of you. Now, as you guys can see here, this is a relatively standard Caly-Ice team. This is not a Caly-Ice team that necessarily plays around Trick Room. This is more of the balance mode a lot of people are playing these days. Obviously, it does have that Trick Room mode there with Caly being the only Trick Room setter on the team. But as you can see, we have a very standard Fire, Water, Grass core. This Instant Urshi Rillaboom really has become the staple of this event, right? If we jump over here at VGC data, you can just see here, right? If we look at the day 2 stats first, look at the top 4 mons on this page here, right? Incineroar, #1 fire type, Urshi Rapid, #1 water type, and then we literally have Rillaboom and Amoonguss here tied at the exact same usage, 30.49% each. Essentially, these three here, depending on the team, it is just your standard go-to, right? You put you put the fire water mons on the team, pick one of the grass types, and you got yourself just a very strong, consistent core. Yeah, so very standard. The sets here are kind of what you see, right? You got Terra Ghost to obviously help out against the fighting types. A lot of people dropping Flare Blitz for Will-O-Wisp, I think incredibly good. We have seen Taunt in that sort as well. Safety Goggles obviously just helps out with the Amoonguss matchup. Of course, Rillaboom running the standard set here. The only major thing to really kind of point out here is the Terra Normal on the Rillaboom. Obviously really helps out a lot into things like Caly-Shadow. Because while this team does have modes to deal with Caly-Shadow using, mods like Pelipper with Wide Guard, having that secondary option where you can just go Terra Normal and it can't really touch you obviously does help out a lot. Especially too when Caly really isn't going to be dealing that much damage with Draining Kiss into a Rillaboom. Of course, a pretty standard Urshi here as well, Choice Scarf, Terra Water. The one thing I will mention though here is Pat did have coaching on this set, and a really cool thing about coaching as well is you can actually coaching allies through Protect. So say for example, you just protect your Caly for whatever reason, expecting the double up, you can just click coaching into it, get it at that +1 defense, and then the next turn you can coaching it again, get it to +2 defense, +2 attack, and it can just put in a lot of work. Yeah, Clear Amulet, Caly-Ice, one of the best ones in the format, we all kind of know what it does. Pelipper on the rise, obviously, we kind of saw in the usage stats there, but this one gets a lot of usage right now. Probably the second best water type in the format, at least non-restricted water type, I should say. Just an incredibly good Pokemon, obviously having access to things like Wide Guard. Of course, Hurricane, Weather Ball in the rain are both incredibly strong as well. And on Pat's set, here's what we have Protect. Tailwind, obviously, is pretty fantastic. And then finally, Raging Bolt on this team, just giving you, a lot of just instant offense. T-Bolt, Thunderclap, and Draco are all incredibly good. And Terra Fairy also is very good into some of the dragon types. And not to mention, having Raging Bolt is just good into things like Miraidon, because if they are like choice specs and they lock into an electric move, it is definitely one of the best switch-ins in the game. Very fat Pokemon that can, eat electric moves for days, essentially. Then we have ReliOn's team here. Very cool. I was kind of rooting for ReliOn to win this. I'm a big fan of Chi. You guys already know that. I was really hoping to see my guy pull it out. He put in some work in the finals, but unfortunately could not get it done. But nonetheless, this is a really cool team. Of course, we see Brian Hands here. Brian Hands is a mon that is definitely picking up in usage, right? The old Assault Vest set's coming out. It's very standard. Terra Grass is one of the better options as well. Of course, it helps out into things like Amoonguss under Trick Room. But yeah, Brian Hands, very good into Pokemon like Miraidon. You can switch in with the Assault Vest plus the Electric typing. Eat a couple of electric attacks and just fire off really powerful Drain Punches in the electric terrain, which is obviously very good. Grimmsnarl, another one we're kind of seeing, pick up a bit in usage right now. Screens are definitely a bit better than they have been in the past. A big reason for that is Urshifu's usage is down. Obviously, at the day 2 here, we see it at 46%, which is still kind of crazy. But when you check day 1 at 36% usage, essentially getting like a 1 in 3 draw to get Urshi is honestly not a bad thing. Urshi Dark really isn't seeing too much play right now. Because of that, screens definitely go up a lot. Because one of the ways you beat screens is you kind of just crit through them. And when Urshifu is no longer getting like 50% usage and Dark's like not sitting at 20%, it's obviously a lot easier to execute, right? But still really cool, especially in these restricted formats where teams have built more around their restricted, more so than their non-restricted. But of course, Urshi's still seeing quite a lot of play. And we see it here as well. A really cool Urshi set here. Still rocking Terra Water with Surging CC. But safety goggles, detect, and taunt. Taunt is really cool because obviously with goggles and taunt, you basically just hardwall Amoonguss. You can ignore the Amoonguss and Surging Strike's ally, even if they go for things like Rage Powder. And of course, you can't be put to sleep because, goggles is just pretty damn broken. But the star of the show, at least in my opinion here, is the other 3 powerful special attackers, right? You have the Terrapagos here with Choice Specs, just running 4 attacks, of course. And you pair it up with the Flutterfish. It's your boys' go-to here. I absolutely love these set here on the Flutterman and the Chi-Yu. Obviously, I'm a big fan of, Focus Sash on my Chi-Yu. Choice Specs on my Chi-Yu. But on teams like this, you have the Choice Specs on the Terrapagos. And the Fish is kind of just a secondary support, because if you ever get a board state where it is Terrapagos and Chi-Yu on the board, it's much harder just to target down the Chi-Yu, especially when it is rocking things like the Focus Sash. And yeah, it's just really cool. You have so much, special damage here, and then just like so much physical damage coming out of these 3. And I guess I didn't mention as well, but Foul Play on Grimstyle is like really, really good. Having Stab Foul Play, I think, is just insane in restricted formats, right? You can deal a lot of damage to a lot of restricteds, right? If you get the Foul Play off. And one other thing I will mention here, T-Wave, as good as T-Wave is, this Grimstyle absolutely frauded in Game 3 of the finals. Watching the Caly-Ice like hit 4 consecutive attacks through the paralysis was actually really sad to watch. Again, we were like, I don't know if it mattered too much. Obviously, if you got paralyzed 4 times, it's a completely different game. But maybe 1 or 2 paralyses actually could have helped the ReliOn out in that final there. But nonetheless, an incredibly cool team. You do love to see it. And then we have some other teams here. We have like the new adaptation here for these Caly teams. Of course, if anyone hasn't been paying too much attention recently, bulky Caly with Nasty Plot has kind of been the way a lot of people are starting to run it, right? You run things like Berry, you pair it up with some supports. Normally Clef is on these teams, but Clef has been replaced on this version in particular by Smeargle. But yeah, you normally pair it up with things like Rillaboom. You got the Incin, double fake out pressure. Of course, Intimidate. The grassy terrain healing is really, really good with Caly-Ice. Sorry, with Caly-Shadow. Of course, Urshi Rapid running at that Firewater Grass Cool we spoke about before. Like this year, if you guys want to know what to like run on these 3 mons in particular, this is just the standard set, right? Scarf Shifu, AV Boom, and Goggles on your Incin. Very, very standard. One other cool thing too here is the Raging Bolt. Like once again, we're seeing Boost Energy picking up on the Bolt again. Just gives them on a bit more instant damage, right? It just allows your Thunderclaps to do a ridiculous amount of damage, like on turn 1 or like on switching. It's just really, really good. But also cool to see as well, Calm Mind still getting a bit of play, because Calm Mind plus Rillaboom is still a really good combo, right? Because you can fake out, get the terrain, and between Protect and Train Recovery, this mon, it heals so much, right? Its HP stat is so high. So like when you have something like Grassy Terrain that is percentage based, you just heal a lot, right? And then the final piece here is Smeargle. Now, as I said, this mon is actually starting to pick up. We're seeing it with Caly-Ices as well, but essentially this one has Spore, Follow Me, Wide Guard. It also has access to things like Decorate. It's just a really solid mon and very annoying. It's a mon you kind of have to focus down, because if you ever hit like that moody like +2 speed on turn 1, all of a sudden you just start sleeping everything, and it's like super annoying. So you have to respect it, but then at the same time it's like a Smeargle, and like you don't want to have to hit it twice. But again, Follow Me, Wide Guard, super annoying to deal with. Just a really, really cool team here. Again, it's interesting to see Smeargle picking up, because I really didn't think we'd see it actually do that well, but we are actually seeing it, pick up a little bit in usage, which is definitely crazy to see. Then we have Yarn's team here. Yarn rocking a Miraidon Choice Specs team. This is, in my opinion, like a pretty standard way to run it, where you've kind of got the tail room, right? So you've got the Giraffe, the Iron Hands Miraidon version, where you're kind of running like the, you maybe sort of like set up your Iron Hands for Trick Room. Because Iron Hands in terrain, in Trick Room is just like insanely good. Of course, Giraffe also pairs incredibly well with Miraidon. Having access to like block, things like Fake Out, which just allows you to click like Terra Electric Specs, Volt Switches, is like really, really good. And then of course you got this, really fast mode, right? Where you've got the Whimsicott, the Miraidon, the Urshi Dark, and the Chi-Yu, all just being incredibly strong Pokemon, right? It does seem relatively standard in my opinion. The Urshi Dark is definitely a cool change up. But I do feel like this team probably did need that one extra piece to help deal with something like Caly-Shadow. So having 2 dark types and a normal type, obviously, is just, it's really good. You'll literally see as we go down, I'm pretty sure the next team is Tang Shilang's team, where he has just like a whole team that is counters Caly-Shadow. But nonetheless, really cool. I love seeing Whimsicott and Chi-Yu getting results. And having 2 Chi-Yus in the top 4, man, I love it, right? Because again, Incineroar is clearly, the most used Pokemon, especially in restricted formats, right? It does so much for these restricted teams, but when you see 2 Incins in the top 4 and 2 Chi-Yus, man, it brings a smile to my face. I'm not gonna lie, I love to see it. But yeah, then we have Tang's team here. Again, I spoke about it, dude. Look at this, 4 dark types between these mons here. Ignore Kyogre, got Jugulus, Wo-Chen, Incin, and Grimstyle. 4 dark types, dude. That's just saying, like, you know what? I'm actually not losing to Caly-Shadow today. I'm just not gonna do it yet. But yeah, look, nonetheless, really, really cool team here. Obviously, we have the Rain trio here with the Urshi Rapid, Kyogre, and Iron Jugulus. I really like Iron Jugulus in the Tornadus slot. Obviously, it doesn't give you the Prankster Tailwind that Tornadus does, or the Prankster, you know, things like Rain Dance and whatnot. But what it does give you is a really good Hurricane, like a really strong stab Hurricane. Of course, Dark typing is a really nice typing to have in the current metagame, obviously, into things like Caly-Shadow. And not to mention, with Booster Speed, you are able to outspeed the Caly-Shadow and fire off things like Snarl. And again, having like 100% accurate Hurricanes in the rain is really good, right? Confusion can just win you games. 30% of the time, you confuse the opponent, they hit themselves, and then all of a sudden it becomes incredibly hard. And again, we're talking about some, you know, incredibly strong physical attackers in the format, right? You got guys like Miraidon and Calyrex-Ice. The last thing they want to do is hit themselves. Kyogre here rocking Assault Vest. Now, I do really like the Assault Vest set simply because I think having access to Thunder and Ice Beam is really nice, right? Having the Bolt Beam coverage on Kyogre obviously is good, right? Bolt Beam is just, it's always good. You're always going to have a way to hit something for neutral damage. And of course, having two insanely strong stab moves here in Water Spat and Origin Pulse in the rain is always a good thing. And then everyone's big question here, Wo Chen. I saw Moxie was running Wo Chen at this event. I thought maybe it was a bit of a meme. But then we just see Tang here just rocking it, pulling it out in the rain, and doing work, man. You get top 8 with Wo Chen at, you know, I don't want to say, I don't think it's the biggest event of all time, but probably the most competitive event we've ever had that isn't like a World Championships. So really, really cool to see. Of course, Terra Poison helps out with the fighting types. Ruination in this format obviously is really, really nice, right? I would not be surprised if this was a speedy Wo Chen. Simply because if you have this like outspeed things like your own Kyogre, even like of course it's probably going to outspeed your Grimmsnarl anyway. But if you make this faster than your Kyogre and you go for like a fast Ruination into something like Water Spout, Origin Pulse, whatever, it's like really, really good. And of course fast Pollen Puff as well into Water Spout is another thing, right? So you know, if your Kyogre, like say, you know, you expect your Kyogre to eat a hit from something faster than it, you know, maybe it takes 60%, you Pollen Puff, all of a sudden it's back to 90. And it's firing off a really strong Water Spout. So definitely something to keep in mind. But Leech Seed, Pollen Puff, Ruination, just a really, really solid set there. Standard Incin, don't really need to talk about it. And then we do see another Grimmsnarl, but this one did opt for the Spirit Break. I don't mind it opting for the Spirit Break. You have so many Dark types already that I don't necessarily think you need the coverage. Fairy coverage is always a good thing to have. Next team here we have is, I believe that's Antonio Sanchez. I apologize if I'm butchering that. I'm pretty sure it's good, but I'm second guessing myself here. We do see another Terapagos here, second one in top 8. And it does have a Screamtail. Screamtail, one of the most annoying endgame Pokemon, right? If you ever get Screamtail in on the board when your opponent doesn't have anything left, like if they've got 2 Mons left, you just Encore Disable, that Mon's useless, and it becomes incredibly annoying to deal with. If you're a Choice Lock Pokemon, you just get outsped and disabled. Super, super annoying. But we do see here again, just the standard 4+ Terapagos. It's like, oh, remember like, you know, Terapagos, it has Calm Mind, it has lefties. Guess what, right? We got Rillaboom here. You know, he's got grassy terrain. We got that Fire Water Grass Core, Incin, Urshi. And then just the 2 best grass types in the format. This team is really just kind of built around saying Terapagos, go Burrow, right? Obviously, Urshi's really good, fantastic into some of the rain matchups. And yeah, like this core here, it's a good core. Like, I don't really know what else to say. It's very standard. It's very good. And yeah, seeing Amoonguss, Rillaboom on the same team, I mean, when you got a beast like Terapagos and you're kind of just trying to set it up, it's not a bad thing. Double Fake Out, you know, Amoonguss plus Incin, obviously, it's classic. They're really good pivots for each other. You know, you cycle, intimidate, fake out. You know, you switch back out. You know, you buff, you proc and regenerate. You're putting stuff to sleep. You know, you're knocking off safety goggles from other Incineroars. It's a good combo, man. One of the best we've ever seen. Justin Burns here, though. This was a cool team. If anyone didn't see the meme, I forget exactly who it was. I can probably tell you. It was Iron Hands plus... It was this team here versus Yan. The meme was basically Yan led Iron Hands Miraidon, and Justin led Iron Hands Ditto. And there was just a Miraidon and 3 Iron Hands all on the field together. It was pretty damn funny. But yeah, pretty standard Iron Hand set. This seems to be the set a lot of people are going for. Outside of Volt Switch, Volt Switch is something people are putting on. I think Volt Switch is good on these Trick Room teams as well, because you can lead it, you know, baiting the Fake Out, and then just Volt Switch out into like potentially whatever you want to do, right? Do you want to Volt Switch into your Amoonguss or whatever you want, yeah. Obviously the double Fake Out with Incin and Iron Hands is really good with Caly as well, enabling the Trick Room to go up. Scarf Ditto, obviously this team is, it's not a very fast team when you look at it, right? You got Iron Hands, Amoonguss, Caly-Ice, Incin. Not Pokemon really known for being that quick. Urshi's not that slow, but of course Urshi does get outsped by a majority of fast Mons, right? It's only base 97 speed. A lot of the time they run Adamant Max, but still an incredibly powerful Pokemon. Funny, I feel like I was talking Urshi at the start, but that's like 2 Urshis in the top 8, isn't it? 2 Urshi singles, yeah. That one, that's rapid. Were you single? I feel like this was the single one. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, two single strikes in the top 8, showing that it's actually still a pretty damn good Pokemon. But yeah, the rest of the team, it's pretty standard, right? It's the typical Caly set. It's the typical Insyn here. Actually, no, sorry, this one had Taunt, but they're pretty interchangeable, Taunt and Will-O-Wisp. But yeah, cool team there by Justin. Pretty standard. But now this is the team. This is gonna be. This could actually be the coolest team I potentially ever seen, at least in Scarlet and Violet. I have not seen a team do so well that I was so excited for. And I've actually reached out to Henry. You know, I asked if he was going to make the team public. He said it will be public in the coming days. I want to cover this, but this team's sick, right? So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a massive fan of Kyogre. I absolutely love Kyogre. I love Rain. So I'm always excited to see it do good, and 2 in the top 8's great. But this team here, it's cooking. So I'll give you guys a little bit of backstory. Right? When I've been analyzing the current metagame, one of the major things I personally think you need is a good ground type, right? And if you look at the format, technically the best ground type in the format is Groudon. Groudon, pretty fraudulent right now. It's probably just, it's not on the same level as the other restricted, right? It's probably a borderline top 10 restricted, but it really isn't on that next level, right? Then you look, probably the best non-restricteds are the Ursaluna forms, right? They are the best ones, but simply not fast, right? You know, we've seen things like Timid Max Speed, Blood Moon on these Tail Room teams. And then after the Ursalunas, it's the Landorus forms, right? Landorus T is a great Pokemon. Unfortunately, kind of outclassed by Incid, right? Then you have Landorus Incarnate. And the biggest issue with Landorus Incarnate is I've always felt like you just have to run Life Orb on this Pokemon. It doesn't do enough damage without Life Orb. Of course, you get the Sheer Force boost and Sheer Force boost and all that kind of stuff. So because of that, I was just a big believer of you kind of need Life Orb. And then I see Henry go Choice Scarf, and it's like Choice Scarf. It's cool, right? Obviously, it outspeeds the majority of other Scarfers. When you look at the metagame right now, a lot of the Choice Scarf Pokemon are things like your Urshifus, your Chi-Yus, you know. They're normally Pokemon with like base 100 speed and lower. But this is a Pokemon with base 101 speed, which means if you go modest max speed, you hit 153 speed. You basically outspeed everything that was trying to creep Pokemon like the Chi-Yu, who were going Choice Scarf. And then, yeah, you've got like Terra Ground, you do a bunch of damage. But the way he buffs up the damage here, I think is sick. And Henry did say on his Twitter, it was his MVP. And that's Overqwil. Overqwil is a Swift Swim Pokemon that has access to a Stab Acid Spray. And I thought this was one of the coolest techs I've ever seen, right? So I actually do think, by the way, Gunk Shot plus Crunch are really, really good into Calyrex. I just want to throw out there, by the way. A lot of these Caly teams are running, of course, like Rillaboom plus Clefairy as like ways to like keep their Caly safe. You can Gunk Shot of course, you can Gunk Shot both the Rillaboom and the Clef, which is really good. And you can crunch down the Caly-Shadow, and you naturally outspeed the Caly-Shadow thanks to Swift Swim. Really cool. But then you have Acid Spray paired up with Landorus and Kyogre, and potentially as well Tornadus, right? Like there'll be a situation, I'm sure, where these two are probably on the board next to each other, and like Acid Spray into Bleak Wind Storm's gonna do so much damage. Like really, really cool team here by Henry. I love this team. Like as I said, could be the coolest team I've ever seen. Volcarona here was a really cool option as a fire type on these teams. Of course, no fire coverage, but having like Terra Water plus Flame Body, I do think is one of the better ways to deal with something like Urshifu. Obviously, Bug Buzz is a really interesting tech. I do think bug coverage is actually pretty underrated right now. So it was curious to see him not at least run like Heat Wave to, you know, fish for, you know, maybe some damage, but damage and burns. But of course, I think Kyogre is coming every game, so it's going to be very rare you actually clicking a fire type move on the Volk. But yeah, still really cool. Flame Body and Will-O-Wisp incredibly good into the current metagame. And the other thing too, when you go up against things like Caly-Ice and like Miraidon, who both want to use Terrafire to dodge burns, it's like, do they want to Terrafire in front of a Kyogre? No, they don't. They don't want to Terrafire in front of a Kyogre and just get one shot by Water Spout. But yeah, like this team is just so sick. Like obviously Rillaboom here, it's pretty standard. It's Mystic, Water, Terra Ghost, Kyogre, which I really like as well. So you can obviously dodge fake outs. Because when you have Terra Ghost plus the Covet Cloak as well, you can basically just lead this together. Go for things like, you know, Tailwind, Water Spout, or Bleak Wind, Water Spout, whatever you want to do. Yeah, just really, really sick. I love this team by Henry. And yeah, look out for it in the coming days. If Henry does make it public, which he has told me he will, I'll definitely be covering it going forward. So now we have the basically everyone who didn't make the top 8. I'm not going to go through all these teams. We'll have a brief look through. We'll have a look at some of the cool teams here, and you know, maybe some notable players just to see what they're running. But the first team here, of course, is Z's team. I want to briefly cover this because we see Talonflame, my guy. I brought this guy to the OCIC last year. Really, really cool mon. Of course, we're seeing Miraidon with a pretty standard set here. The Giraffe plus the Iron Hands, just giving it an option, obviously, to play under Trick Room. And of course, you see things like Talonflame just being honestly a pretty solid Tailwind setter. It technically still is the fastest Tailwind setter we have. Its biggest issue, of course, is its, you know, vulnerability to fake out. I kind of wish we had old Gale Wings, because then Covet Cloak Talonflame would go back to being the fastest Tailwind setter we have, which would be really cool. We do see Silk Scarf Blood Moon here as well. Again, Blood Moon Ursaluna is just really good when paired up with Miraidon. It gives you a mon you can discharge next to, plus it also gives you a mon that functions in the Trick Room as well. And then the final one here, which I thought was super interesting, is the Qian Pao. This is a mon where, if you have a look at this, right, like we see like no Qian Pao, right? Like Qian Pao has kind of been replaced by Caly-Ice as just the premier, you know, ice type in the format. And I guess it just doesn't pair that well with some of the other restricteds. Like we see, what is that, like 3 Pows in the top 32? I could be blind. I might be missing one here somewhere. But 3 Pows in the top 32 is crazy. Like this mon has been so dominant the whole format. So to see it like seeing no play is kind of nutty. But yeah, really cool team here. I love seeing the Talonflame doing some stuff. You know, I love them on. So seeing it get some results is really cool. Jody has a rally, one of my favorite people in the scene. This guy, if you guys don't follow Jody's Twitter, go follow it. The guy, he's fucking hilarious. I love the guy. But yeah, pretty standard team. I actually think we saw this team a little further up, did we not? Is it this team? Yeah, he probably built with Justin Burns, right? Am I crazy? Is it just Justin's team? I think it's just Justin's team. Yeah. So I'm assuming Jody built with Justin for this event. I haven't actually checked it out. Also, that just reminded me as well. Look, I don't know if anyone else has actually done this, but some of these players are putting their teams on Twitter. I know Tang has actually put his team out here. So if you click on that link there, it takes you to his Twitter. And you see this here. So like he actually he's got a Pokepace, he's got a rental for the team. So if you guys are interested in that team, go check it out. I should have mentioned it when I spoke about his team before. I do apologize. It just clicked with me then. We have any other cool teams? Oh yeah, Alex Underhill's team. I actually saw people talking about this. I think the Tubtake guys all brought this team or similar variants of it. This was the full-on anti Caly-Shadow team, because this is triple normal types, right? This is Giraffe, Smeargle, Ursaluna. And then you've got the Caly, and then you got this Electabuzz here. And they were saying, I think on Twitter, and they're probably gonna do a tub take about it. So if you're interested, check out their YouTube as well. But having like Feint, Taunt, and Follow Me is like such just a good combo on Electabuzz, because like you have the Feint to break the wide guards for your Caly-Ice, right? But then you have like Taunt for Amoonguss and stuff, which can get annoying. Of course, it's a Follow Me support with a Violite. It's just bulky and does its thing. But yeah, this was like a really cool team. I'm sure they'll be covering it. I know they posted on their Twitter. I don't think it was Alex who posted about it. I think it was Audi. But yeah, make sure you guys check out Tubtake. They'll do a breakdown of that in the future. So go there rather than here, because I obviously don't know enough about the team to talk about it too much. We're seeing some more Smeargle here by Eric Rios. Michael Zhang bringing this team again. This team is wild. We did cover it in a previous tournament recap though, but yeah, look at this team, dude. This is sick. You got like Moltres, you got Lardy. It's just a really cool team. I like that by Michael. We did actually see a little bit of Ogerpon Cornerstone as well pick up. This one has a pretty good matchup on these Sun teams. It really helps out with some of the poor matchups. Obviously really good into things like Tornadus. It can deal pretty big damage as well. It's like opposing Raging Bolts, which is always a good thing. More Grimmsnarl there. This is the same team. No, it's not the same team we saw before. They got the Bolt over the Electabuzz. Coward. Yeah, is that it? Anything else cool here? I mean, Entei on Sun. A Choice Scarf Eruption. That'd be cool. Nah, you're not. You're a cat. Choice Banded. Should have been Scarf Eruption. We see Ting Dozo here by another Chinese player. That's actually a pretty cool Caly team there. I do like that. Yeah, I think that's probably it for the teams. We'll have a quick chat. Do I see anything crazy here? I mean, Iron Bundle. Oh, dude, my guy Nick Khan. Dude, that's... If anyone doesn't know, Nick Khan, one of the GOATs in Australia. One of the best players. See him at regionals all the time. Really like the guy. Very, very talented player. Still very young in the game. Definitely keep an eye out for him. I think he's going to do some special things with this game. But yeah, a pretty standard Caly-Ice rain team here. Cool to see him, though, getting some like good results there. Two Aussies in the top 50, you do love to see. But yeah, that's kind of it. Oh yeah, there's Audi there. If you guys are interested, check out these guys. They got Tub Takes. He does YouTube as well. Check out the link there. Yeah, cool guys. Michael Kelsch as well, dude. Michael Kelsch. That just shows how like hard this event was, dude. Michael Kelsch I think he went 2-3 day 2. He said it was the first time he's ever gone negative on day 2. And this guy's like one of the GOATs for Pokemon competitive in general, right? He's incredibly good. I was going to say singles player, which he is, but he's very, very good at random battles. One of the best to ever do it. Check out his YouTube as well. Like, really cool guy. But, dude, like, Chio Costa at, like, 8 and 7, dude. It just shows how stacked this event is, man. Even, like, Nails here, dude, at 8 and 7, dude. This event was that freaking strong, man. Like, I know there were a lot of top players as well that didn't even make it, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, let's go take a look at some stats here before I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna look at too much stuff. I'm gonna get distracted. So, anyway, Day 1 stats, as you can see here, this is pretty standard. This is exactly what I expected, right? Of course, you know, Amoonguss Day 1 usage is pretty low. We see that spike in Day 2. We spoiled that for ourselves before. Of course, the Firewater Grass Core is here just dominating, right? We see Raging Bolt and Iron Hands, the 2 King Electric types right now, both are really good. We do see their usage spiking Day 2 as well. Torn and Whimsy getting closer to 50, to like similar usage is fantastic. I was so sad with how poor Whimsy performed in Reg F compared to Tornadus, so seeing it rise up obviously is sick. My guy Chiyu at 21% usage, that makes me so happy. I want the fish to win Worlds this year. I'm so sad I didn't qualify for Worlds. I really wanted to use the fish. But unfortunately, your boy just didn't perform at locals this year. My regionals were all fine. I earned quite a few points there, but I didn't perform at regionals. Sorry, at locals, so I do apologize, fish. But yeah, seeing Giraffe here. Giraffe, of course, is just here because Instant and Rillaboom are here. But you look at like all these mons here. The top 4 mons all run priority moves. So being able to block fake out, of course, is just super good. Brian Hands, again, another fake out mon, and Pelly. Dude, Pelly has got to be low key the biggest winner of this format. Like, it is too good in the current format, and it actually pains me. Like, it's just the best wide guard user by far. And Day 2 stats, we do actually see Pelly drop off a little bit. But we see Ditto take its place. Whimsy Tornadus has dropped a lot. Just showing that maybe Tailwind isn't as good as we thought it was. Do we actually, like, how many Tailwinds do we have in top 8 here? What is it? So we got Whimsy, 1 Whimsy. So it's 1 Whimsy, 1 Tornadus, and then Booster Jugulus. Dude, it's actually so sad. There's, like, no Fairy types here. Like, Fluttermane usage is down, and there's no Roaring Moon. Dude, maybe that's the source. Maybe Roaring Moon's the source for Worlds, guys. That's your dark type you need. Actually, no. I was going to say it's your dark type, dude. Caly-Ice just eats it for breakfast. But yeah, still pretty cool stuff there. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. And Ditto spiking in usage as well is really cool. I think if you can ever just steal the opponent's restricted with a Choice Scarf, you're going to have a good time. Especially two of you steal like Caly-Ice or Caly-Shadow after they've boosted and Trick Room isn't up. So yeah, Ditto obviously really good there. Then we have the restricteds here, of course. This is basically all you're going to see. These 4 are, I think, undoubtedly just the top restricteds right now. I do think, like, Groudon and Lunala could potentially steal off of Zacian. Did they get it here? No, they don't even get it there. But I do think they're probably the 2 mons who are most likely to potentially steal that 8th slot. But in saying that, I still think Zacian's actually a fine Pokemon. Obviously, it has a pretty good matchup into Ice Rider. It has like a decent matchup into Miraidon, but I think the issue is you don't want to click Play Rough as often. It's just unreliable. And you really don't want to eat things like Electro Drift or anything like that. But honestly, it has a pretty solid matchup across the board into most of these mons. Probably the only real poor one being like probably Terrafire Koraidon. I guess Caly-Ice as well goes Terrafire and kind of just doesn't care about you. But yeah, they're probably the 2 biggest issues. Like, this mon kind of needs a way to deal with fire types, which is why I think Swordfish is still going to be good come double restricted with like Kyogre and Zacian. But seeing the former king at 4% is kind of sad. But yeah, this is kind of what I expected, right? I think, you know, the 2 best in my opinion are probably still the Calys. Terrapagos and then like the weather setters are all just like right behind it, right? I think Miraidon, Koraidon, Kyogre, Terrapagos all still really good. Like, honestly, Terrapagos could even be like the 3rd best restricted. I mean, we look at Day 2 stats. It was actually the 2nd best. Caly-Shadow, dude, like, this is the issue with Caly, right? And this is why World is going to be really interesting because Caly-Shadow, in my opinion, is still the best restricted, right? I still think this Pokemon is better than the other 7 we see on this list. The issue is everyone else kind of agrees, right? Whether you think it's number 1 or number 2, everyone to a certain extent agrees that Caly-Shadow is arguably the best Pokemon in the format, right? And that's why when you look at these teams, yeah, like you look at Pat's team here, while it doesn't necessarily have like instant answers to Caly, you do see Wide Guard Pelipper, right? You see a dark type here. Was it Choice Scarf? Yeah, it was Choice Scarf Urshi. So technically you kind of have like 3 soft checks there, right? On a ReliOn team, we have a normal type, right? We have 2 dark types here. So like you kind of have 3 soft answers to Caly. Of course, we see, you know, Edu's team here running no answers to Caly as they are a Caly runner. But again, we see, I believe this was 2 dark types. Yeah, so you got 2 dark types and a normal type. We spoke about this team already, 4 dark types, right? We see a normal type, a dark type. Okay, you're Urshi Rapid. So you kind of got 2 soft checks there. I will say though, Terrapagos teams don't necessarily need as much because you're restricted, that just goes Terra, and then you just kind of run through it, right? You can't redirect. A lot of the time, the Terrapagos is running things like Cover Cloak as well, so you can't fake them out. You can't redirect the Terra Starstorms, and they can kind of just deal big damage to the Calys. But again, here, you know, we see like a bit more, right? We have a normal type here in Ditto, which is never going to be a normal type. I don't know why I mentioned it. But of course, you got Instant and stuff, right? So there are answers. People are running answers, right? You know, we looked at the team before with like triple normal. Like a lot of people are prepared for this one, and that makes playing it a lot harder. But of course, yeah, they're all still pretty damn good. We did see the dogs both drop in usage day 2 from like 8 and I think 4% to 6 and 2. Kyogre and Miraidon, their conversion rate was pretty similar. They didn't really change too much, right? Yeah, it's basically the same. Calyrex-Ice's conversion rate was obviously really good. Miraidon's was exactly what you expected. Caly slightly fell off, and Terapagos was probably the biggest winner in terms of conversion. Okay, yeah, it looks like Terapagos and Caly-Ice were the 2 main winners. So I would say, guys, if you go into Worlds, probably keep an eye out for those 2 in particular. Terapagos and Caly-Ice, I think they're the harder ones to kind of deal with, simply because, like, one, Caly can play, Caly-Ice, can play under Trick Room, and it can play just in kind of balance. And Terapagos can play like hyper offensive, like Tailwind Choice Specs. It can also play like, Covet Cloak Covet Cloak or Leftovers. Just setup, right? You run like Terrain, Amoonguss, Double Fake Out, all that kind of stuff, right? So they're definitely the hardest to deal with. They're not the one-trick ponies that maybe Caly and Miraidon are. But yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see, because Calyrex-Shadow, in my opinion, is, probably still the best Pokemon here. But it's definitely one of the easier ones to deal with, because it just struggles with normal and dark types. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I don't really think there's anything else I need to cover. I will drop a link down below just to Victory Road's site. As I said before, if you guys are interested, one of the things I love about Victory Road here is it has like links to all the players' Twitters. If there's not a link there like here, unfortunately, they don't have a Twitter. Yeah, go check them out. Some of these players do drop stuff. As I said, Tang has already put out the rental and whatnot for his team. So go check it out. Maybe you guys can find teams there and whatnot. Yeah, anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I'll catch you guys at the next one. Peace.